Headline: Tesla's new FSD beta is a make or break bet on AI. This could be the fully automated driving system we've been waiting for, or not. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, and it's always fun to talk Tesla. They had a big announcement today that FSD version 12 is out. It is still in beta, I guess. That's what the demarcation is. Elon Musk had promised that I guess this would be the full thing, but it's still beta. I want to take a look at what the share price is up to, what the pumpers have been saying about Tesla for a while, and what about valuation. So first, this is the last day here of trading. I can see Tesla stock is down 1.6%, and then you have the after hours down another 0.23%. This is troubling considering that the markets overall were up, right? The Dow was up, the S&P was up, and NASDAQ was up. So Tesla is trading counter to the market and is at the 208 level. So we'll see where it goes from here. Moreover, it is down on the last month, about 19% in that range. And I've told you guys this before several times. From the top, we're now 48% down, and after earnings, you may be looking at more than 50% down, depending on how scary earnings are. But you never know; they could pull a rabbit out of the hat. I want you guys, when you talk about this stuff, be it finance, be it relationships, business, any number of things, look at everything. Look at all the numbers. The pumpers tend to only show you a few things and not show you everything. I literally show you everything. So right here, this is what pumpers will say. They'll say, look at revenue is up. And I can see that revenue is up 8.4%. But they don't seem to mention that, say, where is it here? Net income is down 43%. Net profit margin is down 48%. Earnings per share is down 38%. EBIT is down 35%. Hey, your operating expenses are up 42%. Not so great. You guys, be realistic about this stuff and just look at all the numbers. That's all I ask. Because the sad thing is the pumpers will tell you anything and everything to keep you hyped. The thing that's so strange about this is that the whole FSD thing is announced, and it should be big news, and it should be all over Musk's Twitter, etc. He's actually in Poland at the moment. This is the headline: Elon Musk visits Auschwitz after uproar over anti-Semitic messages on X, and this is dated January 23rd, 2024. Here's another headline: Elon Musk privately visits Auschwitz-Birkenau site in response to accusations of anti-Semitism on X. That's 9 hours ago. The reason why I find this strange, and hey, he can travel wherever he wants, but this should be like massive news for the company, right? This FSD 12, we should be all hyped up about it, but like he's off doing this stuff. Who knows? And I'll make a determination on that, but I just feel like this whole Musk thing has been a clown show. There's really nowhere else to put it. I'm sure the pumpers will come up with some great reasons of why you need to be traveling over to Auschwitz, so how you get yourself in this position in the first place, and you guys can make determinations on that. It's a clown show. I don't know what to say. I'm not saying, that's it. I don't want to talk just any further. Moreover, if you look at more headlines, they're pretty funny actually. Tesla finally released FSD 12, its last hope for self-driving. And I was reading through the details of this stuff. So the basic gist of it is they're switching over like how the AI does its business. So it says here, in short, this means the vehicle's behaviors will be powered by AI. So I guess it's going to be a completely different version instead of coded by engineers. And I think the phrase they're using is like neural network, I believe is what they're saying here. We'll read through more of this. When Tesla first introduced full self-driving, the automaker made it sound like this would be the approach, but it ended up taking years for the company to leap to neural net-powered controls. So essentially, when they first announced this stuff, they said they were going to be the system they're using today, but that ended up not being true. We are in the 12th version of this said thing now.
Pete says, please sum those two rows so we can see the 3.7 trillion. All right, give me 1 second, Pete. There you go. And again, these aren't my price targets necessarily. So, 3.7 trillion from today's, let's say, $600 billion valuation, that's going to be a 6x. The share price would be a little bit less, so maybe a 5x on the share price, because you're going to have dilution, you're going to have further stock-based compensation, things like that. So maybe the share price then, if we get a 5x on $600, you're looking at a $3,000 share price then in 2030. But again, not my price target, not my forecast. This is just walking through an example that I think is conservative for Tesla, even if they don't get to a fully autonomous robotaxi scenario. If they do achieve that, throw these numbers out the window, because they're going to be generating a lot more than $50 per month on average on each car they sell.
and look at the person who wrote the article, Fred Lambert. He got attacked by all of the pumpers and shareholders, of course. And this is real, guys. When you're dealing with people's money, people are sad when you report sad news, right? They want to hear happy news all the time, and your share price is going to go to the moon. Of course, they want to say that. So if you report anything other than that, you get attacked. And it's funny, his response, his reporter's response. He said, "Sure, maybe I should have written, quote, my last hope, but come on, let's be honest for a second. This is version 12, the 12th version of a product that Tesla has been selling for now 7 years. And you guys are winning, or supposed to be probably whining. And you guys are winning that it's probably whining. And you guys are whining that I'm being negative Nancy for saying last hope and not giving the company enough slack. Please." And I think that's a reasonable argument, right? This is the 12th version of something that was promised 7 years ago, and people are all upset, right? I would have given Tesla all the slack in the world if like virtually all other companies developing self-driving technology, they would be developing this extremely difficult technology without selling it to the public before it's ready. Tesla took away its own slack by selling the feature, and Elon promised timelines that have been long gone. You don't want to keep the company accountable, right? He's talking to the pumpers. It's your choice, but don't go attacking people online who have higher standards for a $600 billion company. And I want to point out something that's kind of interesting. I got some comments on my channel, right? Because, people get upset about this stuff. And we'll go through one. This is from Z November. And this is on the last one we talk about where Elon may be leaving Tesla. The person says here, because I want you to understand what pumpers are saying. "Hi, Chris. I can assure you that I have only one account." Okay. "I actually enjoy your channel, but you should be more balanced when it comes to Tesla. I agree it's overvalued." So I guess we both agree on that Tesla's overvalued. "I also agree that many people should tread with caution. Investors like me who believe in Tesla and Musk long-term are 10-year minimum investors." Okay, fair enough. Yes, Elon has been a douche for the past few years. Yes, he's late on many products. Yet, when you objectively make a case that this company could potentially control so much market share, create revolutionary products, and very well be the leader in AI, Tesla seems like a worthy bet. Okay? Bet. "You shouldn't let some of the Tesla bro weirdos on YouTube make you throw out the baby with the bathwater. Tesla could go down in flames. It's a gamble. Let people gamble if they want to. Let me ask you," and this is the part I want to talk to you guys about. "Let me ask you, in 1994, did Apple look like a hot stock? Steve Jobs was the ultimate douchebag, and yet look at what they did with that company. I believe Elon to be the absolute another Jobs like CEO and will crush it." I want to address some of this stuff particularly, but there's a couple more things I need to show you, which I think sort of give more context of what we're talking about here. Another person commented, because this last comment was 7 hours ago. Another person commented 11 hours ago. And this person says, "Just thinking, who were the people who used to think how absurd the value of having a PC in everyone's pocket back in 2000, essentially talking about iPhone, right?" And then remember this other comment by Fungible Finance saying, "I'm way out of my league and people are, millionaires with Tesla, etc." When you look at all three accounts, which is so peculiar, they're all joined YouTube in 2011, right? That's Fungible Finance, November 2011. And then now this new one that just commented, Tiago Luiz, joined in 2011. So I'll let you guys make the determination if there is some sort of Tesla club or Tesla cult that they all joined YouTube at 2011, or it's the same person. I'll let you guys decide. But it is interesting that you had all these comments in a row that all counts are made at the same time. Regarding the iPhone situation, etc., the thing that's so ridiculous about this stuff, and for some of these people, they could be kids, or some of these people could be adults who just are, desperate because they've lost half their money on Tesla stock, and I understand that, right? It guys involves money, but I want to say something with like an iPhone. This is actually Star Trek. And the reason I'm showing you this is that back in the 60s, people did imagine, things like this. Like it wasn't a crazy idea in the sense of like that no one has ever thought about an iPhone. Remember iPhone, you're talking about, say, in the 90s or whatever, 2000s. The point is that we had this stuff in science fiction, like this idea, and like the flip phone, right? That's essentially from Star Trek. And so to say that, and the thing I want to talk to you guys about is like these pumpers are now, switching over from, talking about Tesla and FSD. Now suddenly we're talking about that Tesla is going to be the greatest robot company of all time.
So who saw this coming? Another surprise update. Tesla's humanoid robot, known as Optimus, folding, rather slowly, some laundry. Another, out of absolutely nowhere, massive progress update on what will, in the future, possibly, if not almost definitely, be the single most useful consumer product in the history of humanity.
The genius of the humanoid robot form factor is that much of the world is designed for humans. So having a similar form factor as humans, these robots will be able to do what many humans do. So in many ways, that's the perfect form factor to add value in this world. One reason I was so confident about the iPhone when it first launched in 2007 was because of the value it created and delivered. Before the iPhone, there wasn't really a capable web browser for your phone, and apps were clunky and glitchy. But the iPhone opened up a whole new platform of delivering value, and that's what gave it demand. What will give humanoid robots demand is how much value they can deliver. But I will argue that humanoid robots can deliver much more value to people than their phone, probably orders of magnitude more. And it's because a humanoid robot transcends the virtual knowledge realm and delivers value instantly in the physical real world. Think about the value of a capable humanoid robot that can help an elderly person who needs a caregiver but can't afford one.
Been kind of what the pump has been lately. It is, I don't know what to say. And the funniest thing about this is, like, so for me, the iPhone wasn't necessarily much of a stretch compared to, say, the humanoid robot. The reason I'm mentioning Star Trek, which is kind of funny, for those of you who've been watching, say, the Next Generation Star Trek, there's a character named Commander Data. And I don't remember if he started Lieutenant Data and maybe was promoted to Commander, but Data. Data's the character. And even in the world of science fiction and Star Trek, a lot of the characters actually didn't like Data. And that was always the issue on the show because it was just weird to have this robot walking around, even in like a super futuristic science fiction show. The reason why I mentioned that is kind of funny. There's been some studies, I'm just talking about human robots here. There's been some studies that, like, I guess children tend to beat on robots and stuff like that. There's also issues with the psychological things of, like, if a humanoid looking thing is in your home, how does a robot, how does that relate to children? How do children's psychology, how do they see said robot? And it's funny, I can't believe I'm talking about robots, but I'm just mentioning it because, in order to justify this crazy valuations that the Tesla pumpers have, you have to come up with some sort of, futuristic thing that you can't prove in 40 years from now or whatever. Actually, the pumpers have been promising 1 billion robots in 20 years, which is ultimately ludicrous, which we'll go over in a moment here. But the thing is like, they have such these pie in the sky stuff. So, remember, Tesla's now promising you that the robot's going to come in at under $20,000. I laugh because I think it'll be much higher than that, but who knows? And let alone the last time they talked about and announced Cybertruck, they said it's going to be 40. It turned out to be 60, but the reality, if you want to buy one right now, it's 120. So it's like just not even close to where they were, and it was heavily delayed. And I'm just being really frank with you guys. Building a car is one thing. That's like an established product category. Building a humanoid robot is a completely another. Moreover, yes, we do use robots in our daily lives and in terms of like this kind of thing. So Amazon has been rolling out these small little, warehouse things that push stuff around. And this stuff, I can totally see this stuff in the future, this kind of thing. I don't think that's crazy. It's relatively, inexpensive to manufacture. You guys can see it right itself, what it looks like. It's small. And the form factor of having something on wheels to push something around is really good. The pumpers are going to try to tell you that the humanoid form factor is the most awesome and everyone's going to go for it. I'm personally just not seeing it. I don't think it's as efficient as something like this Amazon thing. What's really interesting though too is remember, the pumping is all about how AI is going to be worth tons of money in the future. And that's not just Tesla, but multiple companies are saying that. It was interesting because this just came out today. I'll just read the headline. Humans still cheaper than AI in vast majority of jobs. And this is according to MIT. They just did a study. Now, they didn't study every kind of AI. They only studied ones that involve vision. But the basic gist of it is they were saying that only 23% of jobs will benefit from AI. I think that's how they state it. Let's just read the actual language they say here. They says here, in one of the first in-depth probes of viability of AI displacing labor, researchers modeled the cost of attractiveness of automating various tasks in the U.S., concentrating on jobs where computer vision was employed. So again, they're only talking about the vision jobs. For instance, teachers and property appraisers, just for example, they found only 23% of workers measured in terms of dollar wages could be effectively supplanted. In other cases, because AI-assisted visual recognition is expensive to install and operate, humans did the job more economically. Long story short is humans are still cheaper than AI, at least according to this regarding vision activities. But my personal opinion of stuff is I think AI will probably be useful in like something like accounting, or those kind of things involving numbers where they can crunch numbers very quickly. I'll give you an example. I use a calculator. It's not like crazy things. Calculator is I don't need to memorize, what is 1.5678, billion times 335 trillion or something like that. Like I could probably figure out, and that's maybe an easier one, but you get my point is I just use a calculator to type those large numbers in and do it. But which I think is interesting though, they're saying here for many jobs still, the humans are cheaper than the robots. The other thing too I want to mention regarding the pumpers and the crazy valuations.
There you go. And again, these aren't my price targets necessarily. So, 3.7 trillion from today's, let's say, $600 billion valuation, that's going to be a 6x. The share price would be a little bit less, so maybe a 5x on the share price because you're going to have dilution, you're going to have further stock-based compensation.
In about 15 years will be somewhere around $48,893, which from today's date is roughly 47x where we are today, which is a lot.
What matters is what's going to happen in the future.
And you do the math on what that means in terms of $500 billion to $2 trillion in gross profit on the robotaxi network alone. If you do the math and you think, I think Tesla's going to have 1 terawatt hours of energy storage business or 3 terawatt hours of energy storage business in 2030, and you put that together and you think, I think Tesla bot might actually happen, and they might sell 100 million Tesla bots a year. We don't know what this market is. They might have a fleet of Tesla bots.
Currently, Tesla sits at the 9th most valuable company in the world. I'm looking at it here. And, I played the crazy valuation of the one guy who, was saying Tesla's going to be worth 3.7 trillion. And that's even conservative because if FSD works, man, it's all bets are off. It's going to be worth so much money. And it's like the ultimate pumping. Apple at the moment is just under 3 trillion. And the key difference between like an Apple and a Tesla or Microsoft's on this list or even Google, et cetera, and this is a really key difference, is the margins are just so good on software. Building a car, yes, Tesla has good margins on cars in the past, but generally speaking in the industry, right, as this stuff starts to catch up with you, the margins are going to come down, and that's what we've been seeing. They've been having to do price cuts like crazy because there's a lot more competition than there once was. The other issue that I have with the Tesla situation is Tesla tends to be a more luxury or higher end product. You can argue whether or not it's luxury or not. Where the iPhone, you could say it's kind of higher end. Is it luxury? Who knows? But the price is really quite different. Every kid out there in the world can actually theoretically have an iPhone. Just children. But every child out there is not going to like drive around a car. It's just not. The market, children don't drive cars, right? The same way, like not every family is going to have a robot, and then not every person in your family is going to have a personal robot. I mean, even if they we're like decades, maybe even centuries from that world. And so to even talk about now is asinine. That's why like I got irritated when I tried to address these issues before, because it's just like, we're not even talking about reality stuff, right? It's kind of like, and this is sort of like the Musk kind of thinking, is like, okay, he says, hey, I want to make a company and I want to try to build a base on Mars. And then, all the pumpers would be like, oh, well, when we get to Mars, who's our roommates going to be, and what kind of food are we going to eat? And, how many space tourist trips can we do a day? And that's going to come by, next year, et cetera. Like it's just like, it's talking about this so far-fetched stuff already, let alone details of far-fetched stuff in the future is yes, it's fun for YouTube and it's fun to talk about it, I guess, but it's just pie in the sky kind of stuff. Moreover, when you're talking like 1 billion robots and you're going to make a bunch of these things, etc. At the moment, I just pulled up just some numbers so you guys have a general gist of it. At the moment, Tesla, this is just, I guess, according to Google here, their manufacturing capacity, just how much they could actually make in terms of cars, is about like 2.3 million cars a year. Just how many they could actually just make, if everything was working full bore, etc. And it's like crazy. Like pumpers are telling you, oh yes, they're going to make 100 million robots a year. It's like okay, so then I guess the robots are going to be 50 times your car business, which is kind of ludicrous. You're not even selling robots now. You guys understand? Like this pumping is just unreal. And so I try to be nice about this stuff as much as I can. But the general gist of what I want you to get of whenever we go through all of these things is just to be realistic about this stuff. and understand, like, when I show you guys things, I'm not just pulling numbers out my butt, which essentially what a lot of the other channels do, and they hype you up, and ultimately what happens to a lot of people is you end up at this moment losing half your money. Moreover, understand that when I show you the 3 comments that may or may not be the same person, who knows, you don't know who to trust necessarily on the internet. So you have to essentially develop your critical thinking skills. And my suggestion is obviously watch this channel, of course, but the people we have in this community, we try to live in reality, which I think is a good perspective to have. I was thinking about this, that for many of the pumper kind of people, they're kind of like that guy to where the girl says, I don't love you, I want to break up, time to split. And the guy's like, no, we can still work it. And he calls her every day and stuff like that. And I just feel like that's the kind of mentality of the pumper, where you essentially ignore all reality and you keep bothering the girl even though she already told you no. So it is what it is. I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you next video.